Michigan has broken Ohio State's winning streak in the game, 42-27 here in Ann Arbor at Michigan Stadium. I'm Nathan Baird from cleveland.com, along with Doug Lesmerises and Stephen Means. Stephen, what does this victory by the Wolverines mean for this rivalry?
I think Ryan Day is where Jim Tressel was in year 3. Jim Tressel got to the national championship game. Obviously, he won, but he got to the national title, and then the very next year he lost to Michigan. Ryan Day gets to the national title, and then the very next year he lost to Michigan. Now what? We saw what Jim Tressel was able to do. He was able to dominate the rivalry from there on forward, and he got to 2 more national title games and clearly put Ohio State in a position where they were the best team in the Big Ten. Ryan Day's in that 2003 spot again, where you just lost to Michigan. There's no reason to panic. We see what the recruiting and the type of talent they're bringing in, but what happens in this game 365 days from now when it's being played in Ohio Stadium for the first time in 4 years? Is this an anomaly? Is this a blip? Or is this how we should expect things to look from now on, where we should be questioning whether or not Ohio State's going to win this game every year?
Doug, you were in the Michigan postgame press conference. Jim Harbaugh said, right now this feels like a beginning. Does this today feel like some kind of a beginning for you?
Yeah, he didn't follow that up very well. It was like, man, that's wow, what is it? And he was like, I think he might have meant that's the beginning because then we have to go play Wisconsin next week. And then whatever. It's like, no. It means a new beginning in the rivalry, Jim. Stick with that part of the quote. Ryan Day should probably call Jim Tressel, by the way. That's a good point you made. Michigan believes now. They really believe. They talked again in the postgame a ton about how they changed how they focused on this. They had the electronic board in their headquarters that said, what have you done to beat Ohio State today? They finally leaned in, and it worked. So they're going to keep leaning in. They have a belief that wasn't there before, and it's amazing. Everything that Jim Harbaugh ever said when he was 0-5 that was you rolled your eyes at, he says now after a win, it's he's got a good point there, right? And Ryan Day, when that word came out last year, he said they're going to hang 100 on Michigan. When he had just beaten Michigan, it's Ryan Day's going to hang 100. Now Aiden Hutchinson in there saying yeah, they said they're going to hang 100. It's man, Ryan Day, you maybe shouldn't have said that. Michigan believes. Michigan believes, and I think that matters. I feel like this is a new beginning, and Stephen's point is a very good one. Jim Tressel wasn't 10-0 against Michigan. He was 9-1, so you're allowed to lose to Michigan. But when they lost in 2011, Ohio State did, that was a blip, and they came back the next year and there was a restart. There's no restart. Next year, these programs are going to come back the same way with Ohio State motivated and angry, but Michigan believing. And I wrote it right after the game the rivalry lives, man. I know Ohio State fans are mad today, but if anybody on either side thought, God, I wish this was a rivalry again, man, the rivalry lives. And I think Michigan is absolutely, maybe not absolutely, I think maybe Michigan's going to be a different program going forward.
I didn't grow up in this rivalry, but I grew up in the footprint of the Big Ten, and I've talked before on Buckeye Talk about how I always equated Michigan with being kind of similar to the level that Ohio State is at, and they've obviously trended away from that. And I think one of the big benefit or the big outcomes of today is, Michigan's 1 game away from going to the playoff. If Michigan goes to the Big Ten Championship game and beats whoever's going to be waiting there, I haven't seen the scores, Wisconsin, Iowa, whoever, they're going to the playoff. And one of the things that Ohio State has been doing here in the Big Ten for several years now, by keeping their foot on Michigan's throat all this time, is keeping them at that level below them. They're the Big Ten standard bearer, and they're the ones that go to the playoff. Nobody else gets to go to the playoff. 1 year for Michigan State, but Ohio State's the one that can win national championships. Ohio State's the team that can go to the playoff, and now Michigan is 1 game away from getting to experience that breakthrough as a program. They haven't been yet, and I think that's a huge moment for them. There's a lot of benefit that comes along with that. A lot of it is what Doug is talking about as far as belief. Once you've achieved it, now I think it's easier to then go out and try to replicate it in the future. So I think that's one of my big outcomes from today is a changing of the standing of these programs a little bit. I think obviously Ohio State is still considered the better program overall, but today Michigan turned that upside down, and they're the ones that get to go forward and try to stake their claim as being at that same level year after year. Obviously, bigger things for them to do within the next couple weeks. Get the text 614-350-3315 for more news and analysis throughout the offseason, throughout the bowl season at cleveland.com.